Hello, everyone. Welcome you all for this episode of Startup Story series. So, every episode, we are actually getting an entrepreneur and learning a lot from their story. And likewise, today we have one of my special friend, Nidhi Seth Jain, who's going to share our entrepreneur journey in this episode. So, to give a quick background about her, she is the founder of Pinnacle Works into trophy and awards in big time. They are a manufacturer more than 20 years. And she also is the founder of two more companies called Positively Perfect and Nine Story. And she has got more than 1,400 brands. And out of them, more than 100 are big, large corporates. And to name a few, Toyota, L&T, HSBC, lot more in India, they are having as their clients. So she is going to share from her entrepreneur's journey, like what are the different mistakes, challenges, and she's also going to give some amazing tips for all the aspiring entrepreneurs watching this video. So let us go to the episode of today of Startup Stories. So welcome Nidhi Jain for this episode of Startup Stories.
Thank you so much, Guna, for inviting. I am super excited to be here. And thank you for that lovely introduction. It sounds really fascinating when somebody else says so many hundreds of people. It's really exciting. And even though that's where I am today, there was a time that every month beginning was challenging. You were like, oh my God, I have to pay salaries right now. Where am I going to get the money? So, really, I have seen all throughout in the 20 years the ups and the downs. I started when I was 19 years of age in my second year college when I lost my dad suddenly. So technically, I took over his business, which was into computer peripherals and parts, which I did for about 5 years. But it was not something which I really liked because it was a little boring selling computer peripherals and parts, even though it was in 1995, 96. Uh, because you're just selling boxes, there was nothing, and I always wanted to do something creative. So I shut that down. And in 2000 I started Pinnacle, which is my company, where we create amazing recognition products for our customers, customized to appreciate people, appreciate your team members, and really make them feel special. Awards and recognition, not the typical gifts and gift vouchers. And that's what we specialize in doing.
I
And I
strongly
think
agree to that, Nidhi, because I'm your customer as well, and also I have received many awards from many companies. Sometime in BNI, and they sometime when I see who's the manufacturer and it's Pinnacle, and I know that before even seeing that, I know even in my trophy shelf now I can easily pick up from like 6-7 feet away. I can tell which are the gifts which are actually from Pinnacle because yours is totally outstanding. Because usually when we go for awards, trophies, no, it is that brown color wooden design with some metal, which is the usual thing, which they do something different. But you came up with pink, sky blue, matte finish in black, etc. I can't even imagine of those colors. That such an amazing, unique designs you have got. No doubt.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's really nice to hear that, Guna. But I have to say, and this is a good point to share, when I started, which was almost 20 years back, and when I, for the first time, in fact, I was one of the first one to introduce even crystal awards in the market. Or awards which were a combination of, and at that time, only people gave silver awards. I still remember, this army people, because at that time, army was a big customer of ours. And they said, Nidhi, why are you selling this crystal award? In this value, I can buy silver awards. If I go and sell that silver later on, after 2 years, 5 years, it'll give me some money. Crystal will give me nothing. So I was like, sir, you're absolutely right. But think about it. If you want to get an award that you want to sell later on, you should buy silver because you're going to sell it, right? But if you want that award to sit on your shelf and you want the people to be connected with it and remind them of the amazing work they did, not even now, but 5, 10, 15 years down the line, then you need something which connects to them. Because it's not about that 500 or 1500 rupees that they will be able to make, or 5,000 rupees that they will be able to make by selling their silver trophy. But it is that you know, in how in Maslow's hierarchy of need, you have the highest level of need.
Correct.
Awards fill that highest level of need. You cannot do that with selling silver. So right now, you know, you're appreciating it, but that time I have to tell you, it was a nightmare because nobody really, it was not easy to sell it. Now people are accepting it and they love it, but yeah, it's not
Definitely,
always easy.
because I definitely know that it's not easy to be creative at that time, because people look at more on the pricing in it, like when compared to creativity or designs or uniqueness, etc. So you were like
Yeah.
you were a game changer in that industry, because you started creating some amazing gifts, and that is actually making you to stand out, outstanding company today right now. That's amazing. That's amazing. And even though Pinnacle is working very well for the last 20 years, and 20 years is not something small number for any company, and for
Yes.
especially for this kind of industry, surviving in 20 years and being successful, it's very tough. But even though it is doing really well, what made you to start two more companies in the last few years? That is Positively Perfect and Nine Stories. So what really made you to start two more businesses?
Okay. So firstly, two more businesses, yes, but the core is the same. What I mean by that, it is connected to my core industry, which is gifting and recognition and inspirational gifts. It's connected. I am using the same resources and the same people, because since this is for the entrepreneurs, I don't want them to get a wrong idea that, you know, you can start multiple things without scaling up one. That's because that's a big lesson in my life. So I want to be very clear about it. The core is the same. The people I'm using is a lot similar. So this, in some manner, it is like supplementary, complementary work. Okay, having said that, you know, I for almost 7 to 10 years in my life, I struggled a lot for personal health reasons. Um, I went through many operations, and like a really challenging time for my self, and my business was almost stagnant at that time. I'm happy that we are still surviving. I mean, we survived that phase of 10 years. So that's the reason, and my life was really changed by the books I've read, by the seminars that I have attended. So words and images and quotes and inspirational pieces have played a very important role in my life, and that's why I'm taking that story and amplifying it and created a line of gifts which are inspirational gifts, which is what I sell under Positively Perfect. Because, you know, in fact, now more than ever, people are realizing that mental health is so much more important than everything else. Like earlier,
Absolutely,
nobody cared
absolutely
about
true.
mental
That's the
health.
best lesson everybody got in the last 3 months. No doubt about that.
Yeah, yeah. Physical health, yes, important. Financial health, yes, important. But if you don't have mental health, you can't achieve anything. Just staying at home, like, how can that cripple people? How can that mentally make you sick if you're not strong? So that's what is the aim of Positively Perfect, is to create gifts which are inspirational, which are transformational for people. And we started small, but that's what is my idea for Positively Perfect. uh, Nine Stories kind of connected to it. That's just a creative agency where we tie up with authors and like celebrity authors and large brands. And again, we exclusively take their license and create a range of gifts for them. So, for example, we have taken the license for Devdutt Patnaik, and then taking his art and his knowledge about Indian mythology, and then creating a whole range of products, again, all around inspiration, all around making yourself strong from within. That's what I do.
Awesome. So, though you started your journey from the company of your father, you started in the second year of college, and you were not there for many years. Like after a few years, you shut down. You started on your own. When you have to start your own company, it is not easy. Entrepreneurship is not easy, right? So you would have got a lot of challenges initially when you started. So what are the different challenges you faced as an entrepreneur when you started your business in the first few years? What are the different challenges?
Okay. There's so many challenges. I don't even know where to start from. But
Just share
yeah,
two so that it will help others. That's the reason I'm asking. Just share.
yeah. So I think one of the biggest challenges, obviously, the money part, because um, my father went suddenly. So obviously, technically, my mother, me, and my younger brother, we started from a negative. Like people start from zero, we started from negative because people that came and asked us for money, which we later on came to know we didn't even have to pay. It was a crazy time. So when I shifted, and it all happened simultaneously, like you mentioned that you closed father's business and started. So it was all happening transition. Like one time I was working in both, and I was like, oh my god, this is nothing is working right now. So I think one of the biggest challenges, obviously, the money part, is where do you get the money, where do you get the sales. And so that was one of my biggest challenge that I had. The second challenge that I had is obviously about the industry, because I got into awards and recognition and the gift industry, but nobody knows about it. Nobody knows in my family. It's not that I've inherited a business. And from the very beginning, I have been running a manufacturing company because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do something which I create with my hands. I em- I employ people because that's my ultimate thing, that I want to create a lot of jobs. That's the reason why I'm in manufacturing. Otherwise, easily I could be in trading. So that was a big challenge. How do you learn, and then how do you train? And yeah, so learning about the trade, money in terms of sales, and really how do you get out there, how do you make people listen to you? Because I remember in the early on, you're a young girl. A lot of people, when I went to them, they didn't even take me seriously. So I used to wear saris and go. Because if you wear sari, you looked older. But some of the people, it's really nice. A lot of people say that, you're a girl, and I had a lot of challenges. I think it worked in my advantage because a lot of people were, really? You're doing this? Let me support you. So it was very nice at that end also. But yeah, so those are, I think, my big challenge. And of course, the typical ones, the how do you find the people who could support you? How do you find people who will do the sales as well as you will do? How would you find people who will ensure that whatever you're going and committing will get delivered? And then, of course, as a girl, I started the company in 2000, and I got married in 2001. And I got my factories in Delhi. I get married, and I get relocated to Bangalore.
Okay.
So technically, I felt, oh my God, I. It's like you leaving your baby behind, and then you're going to another city. How are you going to remotely run a factory? That's the most craziest thing. But you know what? I think it was the biggest blessing I got, because I never got so involved in operations. Otherwise, you can just get, how do I say? You just keep getting sucked into it, right? But if you're not there, you're not there. They'll manage it. So yeah, that's what I would say was my challenge in the beginning as I started.
Super, super. Thank you for sharing that. And in like most cases, no, most of the companies who want to do this awards and trophies, what they usually do is they just procure a consignment from China and they just sell it. But you did something different. You want to create something here. You want to give opportunities to people, and you want to manufacture here, and that's an amazing thing. Though it has got a lot of challenges, you not only started it, you're successfully doing it for 20 plus years. That's something inspirational, no doubt about that. So now I also wanted to ask you, as a new entrepreneur in this new industry, when you started, there would have been a lot of mistakes also made as a new entrepreneur without any special experience in the domain and in the industry. As you said, it is not an inherited business. You started as a
Yeah.
first gen in this industry. So, what are the different mistakes you did? Because this will definitely help all the aspiring entrepreneurs watching this so that they will not do them. Can you mention few mistakes which you
Yeah,
did?
I'll mention the mistakes, but you know what? You're going to make a lot of mistakes. So just take that and be comfortable with it. Because when we make mistakes, we learn from it. The stupidity is that you make mistakes and you don't learn from it and you keep making the same one again and again and again. That is the sad part. But so listen to different people. Don't make those mistakes if you can avoid them. But whatever if you still end up making it, learn from it and don't make that again. That is what I would say. So the big mistakes that I made from the very on, the biggest one of all was probably which most entrepreneurs make, especially coming out of India, is they don't pay themselves. And I didn't pay myself for, I think, good 12 to 14 years. So this is not a mistake that I learned very easily. That is a big mistake because we think, "Arey chal raha hai business, sabko paise de do." Give yourself the money, the last, or give the least amount of money, or oh, expenses are coming. How does it matter? No.
Giving least is fine, but I don't think many entrepreneurs are even doing that. No salary actually.
No salary. That is the worst mistake. Even if it is, I don't know, even if it is 5,000 rupees, that is peanuts. You have to pay yourself. If anybody else is entitled to pay, you are entitled to pay. Even if other people you're cutting, like especially in this time, I know you're cutting a lot of people's salary, like everybody's. So give yourself a salary cut also. Don't bring yours to zero. You, even if, and especially sometimes in a women entrepreneur's case, it happens, oh, the husband is taking care of it, why should I do it? Please don't do that, because you have to take the money for yourself. You are working for the business needs to pay you back. In fact, I would now like to go a step further to say that know your real market value. You don't pay yourself, okay, you paying very little to yourself because the business can't afford, but know what you should be making, because then you will know how much of loss your business is really making. Otherwise you feel, "Arey, business mein to paisa ban raha hai," but it's not true, because you're wearing four hats. So that is a very big mistake that I learned, and I would like to admit that it's not that I'm paying myself the real value also right now, but I know how much am I really invested in the business, how much of
So
my time, how much it is.
I get this question from many of my students also. They ask me like, is it that I should take a salary? How do I pay myself? I just simply tell them one thing: just think yourself working for some company for your expertise, for your experience, for your skills. What will be a company paying you if you're working for some company? You should get
Yes.
something in that range. That's what I usually suggest them. So I think it should be somewhere in that range at least, so that it is satisfactory. Maybe since being our own business, maybe little less, and we take annual profits share. That's different, but at least it should be somewhere in that range is what I usually tell people.
Okay, so Guna, I would like to say that it should go a little beyond that, because you
Definitely.
are also the one who's taking the risk.
Yeah.
When you working for somebody else, they're not paying you the upside, but here you're also taking the risk because you are the one. In fact, I read a very good book from Vern Harnish, and you know what he says? He says you put your money to start the business. So entrepreneur need to be paid twice. One is for your salary, because you're doing all the work. The second is the money that you need to be paid because of all the risk capital that you're putting in, which is not at 8%
Correct.
or 9%, which a bank will give, because bank is against a collateral, but you're the one who's invested the risk capital. You need to be paid for that. A lot of you must be thinking, "Oh, I pay the risk capital, I pay the salary, I pay the incentive, there will be nothing left in the company." I get it, but it'll give you the real picture, because a lot of time we as entrepreneurs don't have the real picture. We just live in the falsehood that, yeah, the company is making money,
I
which
think
should
that's
not be.
that's Vern Harnish book called Scale Up. I think so. I think
Exactly. Yeah. So I was reading in that Scale Up book.
yes.
I thought it was a brilliant thing.
And I just interrupted you when you were about to tell your other mistakes. Sorry, please go ahead.
No. There's no interruption, because this is almost like a dialogue, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs don't realize it, or they can just brush it away. "Ah, how does it matter? She doesn't understand. I will take it later." Don't do this mistake. Don't do this mistake, because when you start taking the money, you start realizing how much more is the business sustainable also or not, because that is another big thing that we need to realize. Is the business really working, and how long do we want to go with the business which is not working? How long do we want to keep investing in it? That's also an important thing. um, the second big mistake that I think I made was not invest in marketing enough in the early on. And I think many entrepreneurs would relate to it. And one of my coaches, many people may know, Rajiv Talrecha, I learned from him. And so he calls it karma marketing. I love this line, karma marketing, because
I love this because I have attended his trainings and I also learned a lot from him that karma marketing is something where even today, if I ask you entrepreneurs what kind of marketing you are doing, they'll say, no, actually I'm getting from referrals. That's what they say.
and yeah, people talk good about me. It'll happen. It'll come on its own. You know what I realized? The biggest difference why we entrepreneurs remain small is because we don't invest enough in marketing. We don't go out and blow our trumpet enough. Think about any big brand. They're so big. Why are they so big? Because they keep investing in advertising, keep investing in marketing, and but we think, oh, who's going to look at that ad? This is not for us. This is for big companies. But the thing is that those big companies have become big because they invest in marketing. Start small, set a percentage aside from your sales, and whatever you can keep doing, keep investing back. It's very, very important. Another thing that I learned very late, then we went on to aggressively invest in our marketing. We attended, in 1 year, I remember, we were almost in 5 or 6 exhibitions for HR. We even put exhibitions in Hong Kong because we wanted to capture the international market. It's not cheap, and a lot of times marketing will look like, the money is gone. It does happen. You won't be able to say, "Oh, I invested in this much I've got." A lot of times you can't do that, but you have to keep on investing in marketing. Otherwise, there's no way to grow your brand. So that was, I think, a very big mistake that I made. And uh, the other mistake, which one should I be telling about? Oh, damn. There's so many. I don't know what to pick up. See yourself. You talk about. Oh, damn.
The mistake from which others can learn. That's what I want to.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, because a lot of the mistakes that I have made, they are too specific to. Another thing is, yeah, I think I'd like to talk about is to, especially, which is really relevant in today's term, is collaboration. A lot of times, what happens is that we we think that, okay, we can do this also, we can do this also, we can do this also, this is also connected, this is also connected. So in around 2000, I think 9 or 10, so early when we started Pinnacle, we used to do, we did a lot of merchandise and awards. Merchandise in the sense, we did t-shirts, we did bags, we did electronics, we did pens, we did anything that you can put your logo on and give it as a gift. We did it, anything. And we were very big at it. In 2002, when I started, 2001, 2002, I managed the largest program for IBM and did their entire nationwide fulfillment for their channel reward program. We sold holiday vouchers, we sold cars, we sold motorbikes, name it. So just imagine, like within 1.5 years. So it's a very big deal that we did. It was almost 1.5 crore. I think I was on top of the moon when I got that order. In 2005, we did Dell entire store management across 8 locations. Whether they wanted t-shirts, they wanted ice buckets, whether anything they wanted, we gave it to them.
Super.
I closed all of them. All of them. In 2000, I think it was 2009 or 2010, because that's not my business. I'm not a logistics company. I don't want to keep running after this this vendor. Give me this. I want to put the logo. I want to this. That's not my company. I'm a creative company, and that's what I want to do. So that's another thing. That was a big mistake that we did in the beginning of 10 years, and I put an end to it. And now I'm very focused. I don't try to do too many things here and there, and just be focused in what I'm good at and what I love to do. And that's what I would like to share with everybody.
So last 10 years, you said, yeah, you're focused on specializing it. And this brought me to one more question to ask. I am following you in the launch, which you did recently, the memory game based on Ramayana. I think that's an amazing launch you did. Can you share a few words about for our audience? What is that?
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for bringing that up. So, that is again within our Positively Perfect and Nine Story. It is a product of that along with Devdutt Patnaik. So, this is a brand that we have launched which is called Epically. Epically will be a series of games that we are launching for children, all inspirational, but which is coming from our mythology. Indian mythology. Um, this is Ramayana. What is it that we can learn from it? So it's a simple memory game for very young children, so that they can really experience mythology in something that they can play with every day and get it closer to their life instead of just reading it out of a book or watching a cartoon out of it. In fact, what I'm really excited about is a new game which we're going to come up with, which is about epically money, which is to teach children about decision making about money. So awesome. From the very early on, it's not about, oh, I want this also, I want this also in my life, but it is like, when you have the money, how do you want to spend it? Because children have to start making those decisions.
So is it from Ramayana again, or you're bringing one more mythology here?
So that is based on our Indian culture. Okay. Again, with Devdutt itself, but because what I see is that there is a big gap in what our children see on TV, especially now with Netflix and what all the international TV channels, and what the children are lured to, and what are the real values of our Indian culture. Like, our values is all about care for your grandfather, care for your parents, share with them. But their society is all about individualistic. I'm not saying anything is wrong or right, but there's too much of a cultural overload from that side. And then children become like, oh, it doesn't matter to me, So that's what we are trying to sensitize them through conversations, not through preaching, but in a game.
I think this will reach them the message because it is going to be through a game. And if somebody wants to access this game, how do they do it? What should they do? Where they can connect with you?
That is so. So our web store is called positivelyperfect.me. That web store is right now, it only has Epically Ramayana and all our inspirational products up there. And for Pinnacle Awards and Trophies, it is pinnacleworks.com. But of course, Epically Money is in the process. I'm working really hard to bring it live in the next 2 months. But all these games, they are really, really thought through, worked with a lot of, like this Epically Money game, it is 1.5 years in the making, and we are still working on it. We work with a lot of psychologists. We work with successful entrepreneurs. We work with people from the finance industries. We work with people who work with teenagers and doctors and children. What really goes on in the mind, and that's how we are developing the game. So it's not just something which looks pretty, but it's something which really should deliver the value.
Looks like the groundwork is so deep, and I hope it is going to come up really well. And so you have shared a lot of things in this short interview, but before we close, I want you to share because the audience who are watching this are aspiring entrepreneurs. They want to start a business. You know how it is to start our own business. Way back in 2000, you can imagine yourself. That's the situation they are in. They have a lot of ideas with a lot of fear. with a lot of hesitation. All with all that, there are a lot of people who want to start, especially during COVID and after this pandemic. People want to have something on their own so that they are not depending on any company or they are in some job. So they want to be an individualistic, and that's the reason a lot of people are looking to become an entrepreneur right now. So, from your experience of running these companies for more than 20-25 years, I would like you to share few tips or suggestions or message for all the aspiring entrepreneurs out there who want to start a business from scratch right now.
Oh God.
Some message, few
So,
points from your experience.
yes. Firstly, I wouldn't say don't be scared and don't be worried, um, because actually, when you are scared, you're more cautious and your brain works like that. In fact, the main function of the brain is to protect you, and that's why one reacts the way one reacts, that always being protective. But know that also. I'm sorry, I'm going a little into science, but the
No problem.
we are governed by our brain, which is also known as, you can read it online, it's also known as the reptilian brain, which is almost 500 million years old, or it's also called a primal brain, which means the primary function of that brain is to protect you. Which means that if you go out to do anything which is outside your comfort zone, it would try to say, don't do it, don't do it. It will try to protect you. Always, 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 always. Please don't think too much about it. Know that your primal brain is talking, but also know that the primal brain could be right. So, this is, I know I'm giving you two confusing statements. So, you have to use your judgment at this time. But that is the reason why always, um, from within, you will feel that something is really keeping you off. So, yes, be scared, but take that action. Be better prepared. Um, Overcome your fear, not by overthinking, but overcome your fear by putting in enough system and processes, by learning. That is what I would like to say. So it's not, oh, I'm not fearful. You're going to go and do a stupid mistake. Put systems and processes, learn, and that's what I've done. So I'm not trying to like preach or anything. It's not that I have achieved remarkable success and billions of dollars, not at all. I'm also on a journey like you, but yeah, this is something I've learned in 20 years, that put systems and processes enough in place. And also, so in my learning section, I'd like to say three things clearly. One is take the time to learn, to invest in yourself and make yourself, like for example, if you're doing a course with Guna, or reading his books, or anybody else that matters, but that is really really important. Because what happens is, we go to college. I'm not saying we learn about business in college or whatever, but we go and then that's it. How can those few years of learning sustain you for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years? Impossible. You have to take out. So every year I take out almost 3 to 4 weeks. Yes, 3 to 4 weeks of my time. I go to some corner of the world and I learn a new art form. That is how I'm able to come up with such so many creative things. I don't have a magical memory, but it's just because I'm exposed and I'm curious and I go and study all that. That's how I know. I mean, I don't think I should say I know so much, but like, yeah, I get to learn, I get to experience so many things. So the first important thing is, please take the time to learn. Please take the time to invest in yourself. The second one I already talked about. I can't stress it enough. Please start paying yourself. That is the first thing. First thing you should do if you're not doing that already, no matter how small it is, and keep increasing that money as as everybody else is getting an increment. You should also, but don't of course be greedy. Most entrepreneurs are not that greedy that they don't want to share. At least they will never be watching this video for sure. So don't be but yeah, keep increasing that money. Don't stay small, because otherwise you will never get the benefit. So second is, pay yourself. And third is, I want to repeat it again because it's super important. Please invest in marketing. If we don't invest in marketing, we entrepreneurs will always stay small. We will never become the big brand that we ought to be or we should be, and what we should be for India, for that matter. Yeah, that's what I would say would be my three key lessons.
Superb, superb. That was like a mini training now in the last 5 minutes where these are things which they have to take care. Awesome. Thank you for that. So, like marketing, pay yourself, and also learn a lot. Some so super insights from your journey. I hope our aspiring entrepreneurs watching this video will definitely take this seriously and they will use it, apply it when they start their entrepreneur journey. No doubt about that. So thank you, Nidhi, for being here for the Startup Stories episode. And you shared your journey of 20 plus years with Pinnacle and other companies. And it was awesome. And we got a lot of insights from it. So thank you for being here. So what do you have to say before we close?
No, nothing. And I'm so happy. Please reach out to me on LinkedIn. That's where I'm most active. My name it'll come under Nidhi Jain Seth. I'm sure there's only one Nidhi Jain Seth in a Jain married to a Punjabi. So please find me on LinkedIn and do connect with me. I would love to hear from you if my story has helped you in any manner. And a very, very big luck in whatever format you want. And I just hope you become super duper successful in your journey. That's what I would like to say.
Thank you, Nidhi. Thank you for that. So, dear aspiring entrepreneurs, so I hope you enjoyed this episode of Startup Stories and you learned a lot. So I will get back to you with one other episode of one other successful entrepreneur to share his or her journey very soon. See you then. Bye. Take care.